I, Andre Kent Jr., would like to add it to my file that I had a lady come up here one day a couple years ago, and I told her I was broke. However, on campus, I would have been and should have been allotted a budget, a volunteer budget, and still allow recognition because I was using my championships, and a lot of them don't know what or understand what it's like to be a volunteer. And as a volunteer, you couldn't just sign me. If you wanted to sign me as a volunteer, it would have came with a benefits package, health insurance, life insurance, dental care insurance, phone, a computer. It would have had to come with a budget from wherever I was going to be a volunteer at. All of that was inclusive. Having shown my record of servitude and service throughout the industry, I would have asked for no less of a budget than at least 150 million without debt weight, without sweat equity, without having to do as much as you think, because my championships that were won originally, they were all volunteer on a tax exempt organization as well. What makes you think just because I'm broke, you could say, oh, well, I bought him while he was broke. I bought him when he didn't have any money. I'm the one that supplied him when he didn't have money, but you didn't provide a budget, didn't provide a strategic plan, didn't provide any work, didn't provide the appropriate amount of resources, didn't provide a lot that you needed to provide to myself as a volunteer, which is exactly why street credibility went out. That's separate from the Scouts organization. I'm tired of talking about them now because they felt my sentiments, and I don't want to keep beating up on the Scouts because it might not be the Scouts talking that loud. It might be the Scoutmasters that's over them that don't provide those types of benefits as well. But in a 501c3 tax exempt organization, I have the right to request a budget, request resources, request equipment, request technology that I want to use to for my purposes. You don't just get to say, well, I bought them. They were worth nothing, so I bought them at zero, or I allotted them this at zero, or I'm the one that put up everything behind them, this, that, and other. Because as a volunteer, I don't expect you to treat me like less than, but I am not your servant. I am not your slave. And if you did not pay or put up a budget, why? Because I didn't have to pay myself out from a volunteer budget, but you needed to have at least been able to provide that or a strategic plan, some kind of paperwork, some kind of documentation. So don't get up there and lie to everybody and say, oh, you bought him for zero. You brought him like a broke, like you were trying to call me a nigger. I'm not a nigger. I'm well educated. I'm well educated enough to know that as a volunteer, you could have provided a stipend. You could have provided a budget from your organization. You could have asked for a contract. You could have asked for a contract to fulfill both sides of the obligations. So don't come up here and do that type of cruddy crap. I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate your attitude. I don't like how you carried me around. I don't like how you thought that I was doing deals on your behalf, which I was not. I don't like how you think you own anything that I have made, because as a volunteer or servitude, I wouldn't care if you were the queen. Even if you were the queen, you needed to provide a budget. You needed to provide paperwork. You needed to provide a lot more than you did. Life insurance, health insurance, dental insurance. There was a lot more that you needed to provide to that conversation than, well, he was broke. He said he was broke. Okay, as a volunteer, you're not allowed to really pay yourself out income in that way. Some organizations that are charity, you get paid a salary and income, but you need to have been able to prove all that before you open up your mouth and say anything disrespectful as you did. You didn't just buy somebody. And let me make sure I post this on both the pages. Same thing for my nickname, AJ. You didn't just, oh, well, his nickname was worth nothing. We took him down to $0 and we outranked him. He's at $0. We're going to keep him at zero, and we're forever going to keep him at zero. Dude, as Andre Kent Jr., I asked for a volunteer budget of 1,500,000,000 USD and the equivalency in other countries. As AJ, I asked for a budget of 150 million USD and the equivalency in other countries for as a volunteer. And I asked for priority rank and level at 0. So if you couldn't provide that, you couldn't provide benefits, you couldn't provide insurance, you couldn't provide technology, resources, equipment. That's exactly what the United States sovereign was built for. Not only was that what that was built for, the fact that you wanted to be discriminatory, and not only discriminatory, it's funny because there's a lot of people that don't have championships at 0. It's a lot of people that say, well, we're worth the same, everybody's the same, but you don't bring that type of quality to being a volunteer. You don't go that hard as a volunteer. You don't bring home championships to a tax exempt organization as a volunteer. So don't come over here and act like I'm a nigger to anybody that wanted to be in this area and act like I'm a nigger, because I'm not. You need to make sure that you come correct and make sure that you have your paperwork in line before you open up your mouth and say anything when it comes in regards to my name or anybody that works at my team, especially if they're a volunteer. You need to be a lot more careful. Go over them human resources books again. Go over FLSA policy again. Go over Title IX again and do the equivalency in other countries, because there's a lot of people with money, but a lot of people that don't need to be respected just because they have money. Bring more to the table, bring more value to the table, and know what type of value you bring to the table before popping off. That includes the military as well. To the military, y'all get paid for what you do, but as a volunteer, I don't get paid like that. But it's not your right to take away my budget, take away and not put up your finances, not put up paperwork, not put up the right paperwork, not do your best for your volunteers just because they don't get paid out a salary and income just because you're the military and you're there for a certain job. Respect it.